Hello and welcome to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg.
I'm Joel.
And you know Teddy, our little elf. It is December 1st as we are filming this video, which means we are officially in the holiday season, and you can't stop us from being Christmassy anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah, not that we ever stopped.
Yeah.
We kind of kept it going.
Who's this?
This is Triance. I should have introduced her right from the beginning. And Triance is our Christmas tree this year. She has a wonderful name. Sometimes Triance needs a bit of an outfit change, so she can change her colors. This one's a little bit heavy on the green.
Yeah.
But we like it, yeah.
The green really pops out.
It really does. But yeah,
Yeah.
she is fabulous.
We love her.
And we love her, yes. We took Teddy for a big hike today because we were gone. I should also say what we're here for. We're here to wrap up November. Tell you what we read in the month of November.
Yep.
And we'll talk about what the reading month was in a second. So we took Teddy for a big hike this afternoon. He had a great time because we left him home alone yesterday for a good amount of time. For Small Business Saturday, we and our neighbors went to a bunch of Christmas markets.
Yep.
We got some beautiful glass ornaments. These are stained glass ornaments that were made by students from a high school in Twin Bridges, Montana, was it?
Twin Bridges.
And they are selling them to make funds to support their art class and get materials and supplies to keep their art class going. So we love the ornaments, we love stained glass, and we love the purpose. So we got 3 of them. We also got some glass baubles from a glass maker in
Yep.
our city.
Lisa Tate Glass,
Lisa
which
Tate.
is right outside where we live. So
Gorgeous stuff.
beautiful.
It was really hard to just walk out with 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we did yesterday, and we were gone for a good chunk of time. So Teddy was left home alone. And what else did we do this week in terms of arts and crafts?
Well, this week I had to go back and remake a platter. I made a platter with Guinness and Jamie on it.
Yeah.
And I put it in the oven and it shattered. So
Poor Joel was really upset when it happened.
I had to go back and make a new one. And since we have an addition to the family, I had to do Teddy in there too.
Yeah.
So it's just a really fun thing we've had, and we always would like to serve stuff on a platter.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just do that for dinner.
So if you'll hold it up, let's walk through. This is a likeness of Guinness, who was super playful. And if you knew Guinness, you knew that when he got really playful, he would do that exact move where he would hunker down and then like run in a circle around you. But that's how it would start. Some of you who have been around for a while may remember Guinness, but you may also remember Jamie, who was a big tough girl. Hence, that's her in the middle with a little squirrel stuffy ready to go. Brr. And you all know Teddy.
Yep.
I was worried because when you first pulled up the image, I thought it looked a little sad in the face, but the way you painted it, it has this really inquisitive look that Teddy frequently gets. Like when he hears a sound, he will do that head tilt too and really want to know. And it has this little white spot on the chest.
Yep.
So really perfect.
And then it's really hard to tell, but Guinness was kind of a bigger dog. Jamie was smaller.
Yeah.
And when Teddy stands up, he's kind of on the bigger side too.
Yeah.
So even the sizes kind of work really well with who they were. So.
To be fair, Jamie was actually the average size of a Welsh Terrier. Teddy and Guinness are both large. And actually that was one of the, like, if you believe in signs, things about when we got a phone call about a lost dog in Montana. One of the things the lady from the rescue organization said to me, she said, well, I got to tell you, I have never known a Welsh Terrier to be as big as 35 pounds. And I said, well, funny story. I have, because Guinness was
About 40.
about 40. And actually now that Teddy has been with us, he's about 40.
Yeah.
So
Because he's a big treat eater.
he's a big treat eater, and people keep giving him treats everywhere we go because he is so lovable. So yeah. And of course, last thing before we get into the actual reading, well, of course, you've noticed these are our traditional decorating hats.
Yep.
Yeah. I keep wanting to get Joel another little Santa hat.
I'm
but
an elf.
He likes
he's the big
elf.
Santa hat, and I'm the elf. But we are thinking of maybe upgrading to just like really good quality, beautiful Santa hats.
Yeah, and I have to keep pulling it down because I have a big head, so it just rides up a little bit. But yeah, we have one for Teddy. We decided not to make
Torture
him wear it. And you are wearing our Christmas tree shirt.
Yep.
So Baird McClanahan Farm Fresh Christmas trees, which meant more when we went out and cut down trees ourselves.
Yeah.
I was wearing a beanie that matches it, but we had to switch to these because it's December.
Yeah, it's fun.
And I'm wearing, Joel has a matching one of these with an image of Jamie. So underneath it says Guinness and his says Jameson with a little bit of a different cartoon. We need to start getting some Teddy t-shirts.
Yeah, we need some Teddy shirts.
Yeah, he's falling asleep.
Yeah, he is.
Let's get into the reading, shall we?
Let's do it.
So November was a tough reading month for both of us.
Yeah.
You can imagine why. Started off with a bang, a lot of stress.
Yep.
A lot of working through feelings, pivoting toward some cinnamon bun reads. But, it ended up being a not bad reading month.
And I mean, some politics aside, we've had a lot going on in our lives. So it's been taking up a lot of our time. So
Energy as well.
So
yeah.
by the end of the day, all we want to do is kind of just sit and chill.
Yeah, and it means usually at the end of the day, lately, right before bed is my best audiobook listening time. And usually I'm just kind of so wiped out that I just want to play a quick round of a game on my phone and go to bed.
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening. Yeah. So, but I did manage to finish 5 books. What did you say? What were you going to say?
Can I just say we are both having really good beard games. So we're growing out our beards and just seeing what it looks like. So his is always beautiful. So
I don't know. It's not.
It's nice. So we're trying a little something different.
Yeah.
Trying a little
We're letting them get fuller,
and
bushier.
bushier. And I am turning into Kris Kringle through and through.
And I love it.
Yeah.
That I'm Mrs. Claus. No, I'm not.
right.
But yeah, it's been because usually what ended up happening for both of us is when our beards started getting long, it would get unmanageable and start you'd get hairs in your mouth, and so we would just end up trimming it back, and so it never really got long. This time we decided we wanted to try longer, and it takes a lot of manicuring to stay on top of it. But I think it's starting to happen and it's starting to pay off. So yes, kudos to us.
Just seeing how we're doing. So
Kudos to us.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into a reading.
So I finished 5 books.
I finished 6.
You finished 6. So since you finished 6, do you want to go first?
I can. So it wasn't a great month. I had some fun books and not so fun books.
You also had some cinnamon bun books that led you astray. We'll get to that later, though.
So my first one I was very excited to read by Timothy Janofsky. He did You're a Mean One,
Matthew Prince. Yes.
And I loved it. So I was very excited about this. It's called The Merriest Misters. And it's a book about Patrick and Quinn. They knock out Santa when Santa comes into their house. And because they knocked out Santa, somebody had to deliver the presents. And so Patrick decides he's going to deliver the presents. And it's a really fun concept, but I don't think it was executed well. And I did do the audio, and there are some people out there who agree with me that when the Quinn part came on, you could not tolerate the guy's voice. It was a little wishy-washy and just wasn't there. And so the audio was hard to listen to. The story was a little hard to believe. Even it's fantasy through and through, but I just think it could have been done better.
Yeah.
So
would you try another Timothy Janofsky?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I like him. He's done some good books. Okay. And so
just an off book.
this just wasn't my best one.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
yeah.
That's fair. So my first book, are you done?
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure. So my first read in November was actually something that you read in October. And you might be tired of hearing us talk about Abby Jimenez, but we're going to keep doing it because
she's awesome.
She's awesome. This was a delight. It's yours truly. So if you follow along, you already know our trajectory with this particular series of Abby Jimenez's. This year, she published the book Just for the Summer. We read that, not realizing that it's part of a series, and it's the third installment of a series. So we went back and read Part of Your World, which is the first book, also delightful. Just for the Summer is probably one of my favorite reads. And I almost feel tempted to just lump these together and count them as one book, because the characters do all reappear.
They do.
And some of the storylines, definitely, especially with Just for the Summer. So a lot of the storylines kind of recur.
So it's her universe that she has built. And so it's like the characters come and go in and out, but they always focus on two of them. And even though there's cinnamon bun, there's some serious moments behind every one of these books that kind of give it a good read.
Yeah. Every single one of the books, at least one of the characters has a really difficult situation that they are going through. In Just for the Summer, the female protagonist has been a foster child, so she struggles with attachment issues. In Part of Your World, the female protagonist it's usually the female protagonist, actually. But in Yours Truly, I think what's interesting is that it's both of them that are going through something difficult, because the male protagonist has anxiety. Yeah. He struggles with anxiety disorder. And she has a brother who is going through a really scary health crisis. Right. And they're just wonderful books. The fourth in the series will be coming out next year. The only annoying thing about that is that the books have been paperback up to this point, and the new one is going to be in hardcover. I will deal with it, and it will be fine.
Because when we get the books, we really like for them to kind of blend and match, and they all have this nice flow to them.
And these actually already don't, because the heights of the books are a little bit different. The typography and like the size of Abby Jimenez's name versus the title varies. So they already kind of don't match. But we actually usually listen to these on audio anyway, because the male narrator is the same in every book.
He has this amazing voice.
He works so well with her material, and the female narrator changes, but is still, like, I really love these books on audio. So I'm probably going to read the new one on audio anyway at the end of the day. But Abby Jimenez continues to be an absolute delight. And she has at least two other books. I think three. I think she has like a trilogy outside of this series, and I might go back and read those at some point. Yeah. So that was my first book of November.
My next one was Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guerrera. It's a nonfiction, and Will Guerrera is a restaurateur who was part of 11 Madison Park in New York City, high-end hotel.
Famous restaurant.
Famous. Basically, it starts off when he and his business partner started 11 Madison Park. They went to the top 50 best restaurants in the world, and they were number 50. Yeah. And the book goes through about 7 years where they go from 50 to number one. But how they got there is talking about doing things in the restaurant industry with food, with service, but being unreasonable of just doing over the top. Yes. Like one example is a couple was there celebrating their anniversary, and they started joking with the sommelier. It's like, yeah, it's our anniversary. We put our champagne in the freezer. Will it blow up? And he goes, yes, it will. So instead of making the couple worry, they talked to them, sent somebody to the home, pulled the champagne out of the freezer, left some caviar, left some crackers, some cheese, and just went that extra mile so they would have the anniversary dinner of their life. Yes. And over the top stuff. Yeah. And I'm in customer service quite a bit. And so I always like to know just different things I can do differently and better. I'm doing customer service. I don't really work with the customers, but I'm mixed in with the customers a lot. That when I'm helping them is like this week, I was working and somebody says, oh, we need the Gruyere cheese. And they're looking, and I look back and they're in the wrong section. Hey, are you looking for Gruyere cheese? And she goes, yeah. And I go, over here. And so I take it, show them the 3 different brands we have, and just something. So just giving somebody an experience in a store, in a restaurant or something, I want to go beyond and above to make it the best experience.
Well, and Joel won't tell you this because he's too modest, but also because he was working in grocery stores, leading up to Thanksgiving. There was an elderly man who was really having a hard time getting around. He couldn't see very well. So, and was he a veteran?
He's a veteran.
He was a veteran. Joel helped him grocery shop. That's not your job, but you did it. And that's also why I love Joel. So it's because it's interesting for customer service, but it's also, to me, I haven't read the book yet. I really want to, based on your experience of it. It's kind of about being a nice human and thinking of other people and how to take care of other people.
Being a better human being.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah. And I did an audio. Will's voice is just this soothing, beautiful voice. If you've ever seen The Big Brunch with Daniel Levy, he is one of the judges on there.
Yeah.
And he's just this cool guy. And his wife is Christina Tossi, which has Milk Bar, which is she starts this cereal milk stage of making desserts.
Yeah, like if you know the cereal milk craze, she started it.
Yes. So they're just a sweet couple and really good. And I wanted to read more about customer service because I'm in customer service. I'll always be in customer service. And someday I will be where I need to really look at the customer and know exactly what they need.
Yeah. Should we because Daniel Tosi, is it?
Christina Tosi.
Christina Tosi just released a new cookbook, and it is amazing. So I think we should, while we're talking about unreasonable hospitality, we should highlight that book because Joel doesn't get to do book hauls. So I think it'd be fun to take this book and show it to you. And I am a big cookie person. I love cookies. I have a fun time baking cookies. So take it away.
So Christina does a cookie book.
Teddy woke up for the cookies.
Yes, cookies. And you can have a cookie book and be fun, but she does some really unique, different things. There's a couple in here that I really, really want to try. But she gives you like different wafers to make, different fillings to make, so you can mix and match your cookies. There was one in here that was really a beautiful cookie. Yeah. Like we love Ritz crackers. Yeah. And so there's a Ritz cracker cookie.
Yeah.
And so it would have that flavor, but a little sweetness. She has in here a caramel sauce that I really want to try. And it's based on apple cider. So you make this apple cider caramel, which is totally
which sounds
beautiful.
Delightful. And
a cinnamon bun cookie.
Because we love cinnamon bun books, and Joel made cinnamon buns for you, so it had to be one that we showed off. We bookmarked the butterscotch pecan pudding cookies.
Butterscotch pecan pudding cookies.
Yeah.
Like yum.
Yeah.
So.
And what's fun, and this will also be my PSA, because a lot of people kind of assume you can just get recipes online. You don't really need to buy a cookbook. This is a delightful book.
Yeah.
The introduction that she wrote, the little introductions to all of the recipes have that personality. And really it shines in the same way that the Unreasonable Hospitality does, because she's really thinking friendly, and kind of that is shining through. And there's one recipe where there's like a sidebar and she says, listen, you're going to think I'm being really fussy about this ingredient that's a little hard to get. It really does make a difference. And there is like a Triscuit cookie in there, and she says, you might be tempted to try other cookies. This recipe won't turn out if you do other crackers, but feel free to play around with a lot of the other stuff in the book. And it's just, it's so fun. You like reading cookbooks is actually a lot of fun. And that's something my mother learned. We sent my mother a cookbook earlier this year.
Anna Olson is a nice pastry chef and has a good book.
And my mother had said, I really want her cookbook, but I get all of the recipes online. And we sent it to her, and we were actually talking to her for Thanksgiving. And she said, and I have to tell you, reading through that cookbook, I feel like I've become a better chef, baker, because my mother's not traditionally a baker. And because she said the way she explains things, there are like stories in there. And so read cookbooks.
Yes.
They are worth a lot. So.
If you get a good cookbook, it's going to have more than just recipes. It's going to have stories, tips, and a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Why I found this cookbook is because Christina Tosi has a new book out called Cook Club, I think, Cook Club. And in March of 2020, when COVID came in and shut everything down, she could not get out, could go to work. So she started a Instagram live every day at 2:00. She'd just do a simple recipe, teach people how to cook. Started with like 200 people, 300 people, went up to like 20,000 people at the end. And she did 150 different episodes during that time as she turned it into a cookbook.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful story. I liked her cookbook, but I saw the cookie book and had to have it.
I'm a cookie guy. Well, and also another thing that I think if you look the recipes up online, you're not going to get. In one section of it, she talks about the Milk Bar family cookie exchange.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a cool concept because for the holidays, like they're so entrenched in baking a lot of the cookies that they have to make and the orders that come in. But in order to do something fun for each other, everybody makes a recipe that speaks to them. And she talks about how it's not just the bakers. It could be like their social media person, their accountant, anybody,
Dishwasher in the restaurant.
dishwasher. Everybody makes a cookie and brings it and they have a party and they hear the story behind what the cookie is and what it means to them or why they wanted to try it. And she said she is constantly impressed with what people come up with and how a lot of the time, even people she's worked side by side with for years, she learns more about them.
Right.
And I find that level of humanity really wonderful. So, and her husband clearly has it too.
Yes. So the apple cider donut snaps is where you make your apple cider caramel. So beautiful book. And has some really great stuff and good stories.
And Unreasonable Hospitality, to loop it back. Also, that is something I would really like to read. Where did you read that on?
Scribd.
Okay, so I will look for that.
Actually, no, Libby.
Libby? Okay.
Yeah, it took me forever to get it. But
Okay.
I think we may have it on Libro FM.
Okay, so
How many more names can we drop?
Yeah.
Anything that's not Amazon.
Yes. Oh, so when I was looking for audiobook alternatives, a lot of people mentioned Spotify. I would encourage Google Spotify because they are actually not good to musicians or musical artists, and they are not good to authors either. So I don't do audiobooks through Amazon, and I don't do them through Spotify. But just PSA. My next book was Meet Cute Club by Jack Harbaugh. So that was after the election. I was 100% like in the dumps, feeling bad about the world, just needed some cinnamon bun energy. And Meet Cute Club it's not the best romance that I've read, but it was perfectly fine. It met everything that I needed. So if you need a little cinnamon bun fix, a little positive energy in the world, you could do a lot worse than Meet Cute Club. And unfortunately, you did do a lot worse this month. So Meet Cute Club is about, you have one character who, I don't remember the names, I apologize, but one character who is in love with romance books, no pun intended. And he has started the Meet Cute Club, which is his book club for romance novels. And he goes into a bookstore because in order to keep the Meet Cute Club going, he buys the books for everyone in the club. So he goes in and the cashier kind of makes fun of him for being a man who's reading romance novels. And he does not accept that. He's like, no, that's actually incredibly rude. And kind of says some things that we have said where it's like, you can get a lot out of a romance novel. And what is so shameful about reading a romance novel? So at the next Meet Cute Club meeting, that cashier shows up at the door and says, you know what? You're right. I should give these books a chance. So he does. And of course, sparks immediately fly.
I'm going to try that.
It's cute. It is a cute book. I would say, I think the better version of that sort of story is The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane, because you have one of the characters in that who is like, he works for a Bachelor-esque TV show and he 100% buys into romance. And over the course of this romance that he has in the book, he has to sort of reckon with, romance that you see in movies and rom-coms and what the real life world actually gives you. And Meet Cute Club does the same thing, but at a more shallow level. But it was still an adorable book. I think you would enjoy it.
I'll try it.
So that was my next one.
My next one was The Kilt Trip. I wanted to read on the way to Ireland. Did you guys know we went to Ireland?
We went to
Yeah,
Ireland.
we did, in Scotland.
We have a lot of Irish ornaments on the tree
Yes.
that you probably can't see, but
So I wanted to read it on the way over there, and it wasn't available, and then it became available on one of my subscription apps, and then it was a long wait. So I finally got to it, and it was cute. It was fun. It's a story of Addie and Logan. Addie is this consultant that goes around to people who do tour groups and everything. So she flies over to, I think they are actually in Dublin. No, Edinburgh. And sneaks into the tour group that she's going to be a consultant on and helps. And there's a little spark between Addie and Logan. Logan's doing the tour. He's in a kilt and Scottish through and through. And it has great stories. But Addie knows she can kind of help. So she's supposed to meet with the owner of the company the next day. Guess who the owner is?
of course.
Logan.
Yeah.
So it was super cute. They go through seriously how to actually build a good tour company. And so they were going through how to do it. And they have very different opinions. But they came together and found a really good solution. And so it's a cute little book.
Yeah, it sounds adorable. I would actually really like to read it, so I might
It's
catch
fun.
up to it.
I liked it enough that I would recommend it.
So it's kind of like a rom-com with Andy the Highlander from Instagram.
Yeah.
So it sounds adorable. I
Yeah.
would absolutely catch up to it. Teddy is like leaning into my arm. Could you do me a favor and grab? Are you done with Guilt
Yes.
Trip? And then I'll let you be the one to kind of cover part of the cover. Salamlik by Khaled Al-Ismail, translated by Larry Price.
I got
Not Larry, Larry, L-E-R-I, was my next book. And I really enjoyed this a lot. I did get through it very slowly because I was reading it when the election happened, and this is a very serious book. So I'm glad I did not give up on it because I really found this book fascinating. You have a character named Farhat who grows up gay in Syria and explores his sexuality in bathhouses. Salamlik means a place for men, I believe. And it gets to know his sexuality in bathhouses, but he has to live underground in Syria, which is going through a lot of hard times, as I'm sure you know, you've read a book. And he eventually has to leave Syria and smuggle himself into Sweden, where he is living as a refugee. So the story moves back and forth from where he is a refugee in Syria and his life in Syria before he got there. And I think this is a book that really deserves to have a place in classic queer literature, alongside Dancer from the Dance, which also explores like the underground cruising gay scene. I think Teddy might want down.
I think so too.
So we are going to say goodbye to Teddy. Teddy says, "Enjoy the holidays, everybody. I'll be back."
Bye.
And whoop, there we go. Dancer from the Dance, which also explores the queer underground scene in New York City in the 1970s and the emotional and mental toll that it takes on a person when you are not allowed to live in the open. Because one thing that he really struggles with in the refugee portions of the book is that he can't be open and honest about his story in front of the people he shares space with in the apartment complex that they have shoved all of the refugees into. They share rooms with other people. Like they'll tell stories about why they left Syria and why they are hoping to be able to stay in Sweden. And he can't talk about his experience because he needs to stay hidden. And I really enjoyed the book. I found it fascinating. So that was my next book.
Cool. My next book was Overcoming Impossible by Robert Irvine. If you know, Robert Irvine does Restaurant Impossible, Dinner Impossible. He is a decorated military man, accomplished chef, and
Big muscle guy.
big muscle guy, and he does protein bars.
He does do protein bars.
But I like Robert Irvine. When we watch Restaurant Impossible and they go into a failing restaurant, I can usually guess what's happening, and Robert will then confirm it.
Yeah.
But he actually did a book on basically being a manager and a management style of his business and how he takes care of his customer or his employees. And basically, he uses a lot of Restaurant Impossible situations of how he treats people and employees and the people on his show. Is really fascinating, and I enjoyed it. Again, I did a couple of books this month that would help me be a better manager, a better person, a better customer service. So, just doing a couple of books that were out there, then just trying to work some things out. So I appreciated both books and enjoyed both of them. So.
And Restaurant Impossible, like the early seasons really lean into him going into these restaurants that are failing and kind of like yelling and getting into fights with the people and then fixing the restaurant. But as it progressed over many seasons, it's been canceled now. It evolved into more of a situation where he would kind of understand, it's like, listen, I can't fix the restaurant unless I fix you. What is going on in your personal life that is blocking you from being a good manager, being able to be here for your customers and for your employees? Or just, if you're working with your partner, what is causing friction in the relationship? Because the restaurant will fail if we don't fix that.
Right.
And it was really interesting. So yeah.
What's your next book?
My next one is something that you and I did together.
Ooh.
What the Chicken Knows by Cy Montgomery. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because I still get a kick out of that every time. So if you know us, you know we are big Cy Montgomery fans.
Love Cy Montgomery. If you do not know her, look her up.
Yes. Every Cy Montgomery book we have read has been magical. We started with The Soul of an Octopus. By the way, she reads most of her audiobooks. I think if you go to her early books.
The first couple, yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. And then they realized how good she is as a narrator because she does such a good job. The wonder and enthusiasm she has for the subject matter.
Passion.
It just comes through in her voice. So Soul of an Octopus, wonderful.
Love it.
What is the turtle one called? I've just completely blanked on it.
Of Time and Turtles.
Of Time and Turtles. Such a good book.
It's a hard book if you have a hard time with death and animals. But it's
both are, to be fair.
Both. It's just a beautiful book.
Yeah, and she manages to really walk the line because the thing about octopuses in The Soul of an Octopus is that they have a very short lifespan.
Yeah.
So in the course of her spending time with the aquarium, they do lose octopuses. And in Of Time and Turtles, she's working with a turtle rescue. Some of the turtles don't survive. And she manages to do this in a very, it just feels kind of spiritual in a good way. Like she talks, it's like part of life and she makes it seem beautiful anyway. So I don't feel crushed or sad by her books. I end up feeling lifted up. I was joking with Charlie at Montana Book Company, one of the co-owners of Montana Book Company, who is also a huge Cy Montgomery fan, because it felt like Of Time and Turtles lifted me up and gave me encouragement to head into a new year, and then the new year turned out to be a mess. But
what the chicken knows is talking about chickens. Everybody thinks they're a stupid animal, but they are pretty intelligent.
And have a lot of personality.
A lot of personality, and they can talk to you and tell you what they want. So it's actually super interesting.
Oh, it was very interesting. So this is one of those cases where she will do books like Soul of an Octopus and Of Time and Turtles that are expanded books where she spent a lot of time researching and preparing. And what the Chicken Knows is a case where she wrote an essay about chickens and expanded it into, I guess, the equivalent of like a novella. Right. The audiobook is like 2 hours, which is why on the drive from Missoula to Helena we went on Black Friday. Right. We don't usually do Black Friday, but we figured Small Business Saturday, we went to Christmas markets. Black Friday, we drove to Helena to support our favorite bookstore.
Yep.
So it was done before we even finished the trip.
Yeah.
So it's that. And what the Hummingbird's Way is also like that.
Really cute, yeah.
The one about hawks is also like that.
It is.
Yeah.
Then she also has kind of a memoir, which is How to Be a Good Creature, which is what she's learned from the animals to be a better person. And so while we were at Montana Book Company, we got the book because it's a beautiful book.
It is. First of all, the cover. Look at that
gorgeous
foil. And the end papers. I love nice end papers. And it has
Great photography.
beautiful illustrations. And there are really great photos of all of the animals that she talks about.
Oh, her dog.
Yeah. So, and again, it's just such a beautiful book. This is the one we listened to last year around this time.
Going
over to the store. And we have wanted a copy of this book ever since. And what happened
We were
last year?
in the store, and I was going to go reach for this book to buy it. And one of the employees came over and said, "Oh, here it is." Grabbed the book, showed it to the customer, and the customer bought it. And it's just like, I am not going to say a word.
No, in fact,
We will get it.
we helped sell it to the customer.
Yeah.
Because they were going to use it as a gift. It was more important for them to buy the book. So we just told them, we're listening to that right now, and it is beautiful.
Gorgeous book.
So hopefully the person who received it last year enjoyed it as much as we did. But yeah, we grabbed a copy of that this year.
Okay.
So that was my next one, and it was another Cy Montgomery delight.
Nice. So my next one was What the Chicken Knows by Cy Montgomery.
Look at that.
And then my last one.
We keep laughing about this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
My last one was called Meat by Opal Carew. What do I say about this? It's about a chef named Rex, and he's an angry tyrant that they call T-Rex. His specialty is cooking meat. The book is called Meat, but that's not what the book is about.
No.
Use your dirty imagination and go with that. Yeah. It was poorly written. It was weird. Kind of goes into a little 50 Shades of Grey. And it was 5 hours, but I finished it.
Yeah.
So it was not good.
Yeah. We debated, because we debated like if we were even going to talk about it, because we thought maybe we'll just say that you had read a romance novel that wouldn't really be worth talking about. But we decided we're all grown-ups here. We can understand. There's a market for books like that.
There is a market.
There sure is.
Yeah. So it was more on the steamy side than it was on anything. And I didn't care about the characters, but oh well.
And I think we were chatting with Danny, who's that Bookish Bear on Instagram, about it. And when we were talking about it, he looked up the description and he says, I absolutely see how you got lured into reading that, because that sounds like something that would be interesting. So it was kind of like, well, for him, it was lucky because he was like, well, I won't get lured in. Yeah.
So the two characters, they meet in the airport and have this connection. The flight is canceled. There's only one room and they share it, have this incredible night of beautiful passion. And, then when they go back, she goes to work and there's a new chef. Guess who the new chef is? And he is not the same person he was in the night before or the week before in the hotel. So he is a tyrant and he's mean and fired people, and it just was weird.
It's not the type of cinnamon. It doesn't sound like the type of cinnamon bun energy that we like.
Yeah.
So
that was my book.
So there's a market for
my
it.
month.
But yeah. I managed to. Okay, so I was going to just pretend that I finished it.
You finished it
in November. I listened to the last 30 minutes of The Snow Child this morning, which is December 1st.
You can't, can you?
I can't tell a lie. I just cannot. So technically, I finished this book in December. We're going to pretend I finished it in the month of November.
But it sounds really good.
Oh, I really like this. So I know a bunch of other people have read. It's sort of like a group read without really being like a structured group read, which was fun. A lot of people have read this, and a lot of the feedback I've gotten on it so far has been incredibly good. I know Jacqueline McMenamin said she liked this so much that she pre-ordered the book that Eowyn Ivy has coming out in February of next year on your birthday.
Yay.
Which is called Blackwoods Blue Sky, because her writing is really good. She's a beautiful writer, and this is set in Alaska in 1920. And the part of the book that struck me the most, I'll have to get into a little more when I tell you the premise of the book, but it really hit me as a foster father, because you have Jack and Mabel, who have moved to Alaska in the wake of grief because they had a baby that was stillborn. So in the grief that they felt over losing the baby, and the sensation that they just couldn't stay where they were, that people were judging them for not having a baby, for losing the baby, they moved to Alaska. Mabel in particular is really struggling with grief and depression, and Jack is sort of struggling because they have a homestead. Alaska, especially in 1920, even today, Alaska, hard wilderness to survive in. They're about to go through their first winter, and they have sort of lost their connection to each other because they're not talking about their grief over this. But one night, Jack sort of manages to spark a sense of playfulness in Mabel. They have a little bit of a snowball fight. They make a snowman, but the snowman is really tiny, so they decide, well, let's just call it a snow child. They decide that it's a little girl. Jack carves a face into the snow child, and Mabel runs inside and comes out with a red scarf and red wool mittens and puts them on. They very lovingly craft this snow child. In the morning, the snow child is gone. There's just rubble of snow on the bottom. And there are footprints leading away from where the snow child was, but no footprints coming toward it. And they start seeing this little girl in the woods wearing a blue coat and the red scarf and the red mittens. And she always has this little fox with her. And they start looking out for her and trying to casually draw her into the house. And the process of doing that is really interesting as well. And like I said, I think this book really hit me emotionally as a foster parent because it really plays with the idea that this is not their child. And there are a lot of unknowns, is this a sort of magical situation where she is the snow child? Is she just a feral child who has been managing to survive in the wilderness? But this is not their child. She's very independent. She doesn't necessarily want to be part of their household and their family. She kind of likes doing her own thing in the wilderness, but they want to care for her. And over time, they develop an attachment and a relationship, and they have to reckon with the fact that she's growing up and becoming an adult of her own. It just really hit all the foster parent. I mean, as a parent, you go through all of those things too, but it really hits that specific foster parent edge. And the whole way through the book, I kept saying a lot is really going to depend on the way this book ends, because it is interesting how it sort of flirts with elements of the magical world, but you don't really know what's happening. And it is a little bit ambiguous, but I'd say it definitely sticks the landing. And I thought it was beautifully written. Eowyn Ivey has that book coming out next year, Blackwoods Blue Sky. Can't wait to read that. She has also released a book, I believe it's called To the Bright Edge of the World or something like that. I would love to go back and read. I wish I had read this before we were at that trade show in Portland, because we were with Chelsea, one of the other owners of Montana Book Company, and she read Blackwoods Blue Sky already, and she recognized Eowyn Ivey on the trade show floor. And kind of grabbed her. She was walking by and said, I read Blackwoods Blue Sky. I absolutely love this book. And I hadn't read the book. We were just kind of standing there and just kind of nodded and said hi. But I wish I had read The Snow Child, because I could have launched into that conversation and just told her how much I love this book. Yeah. So, oh well, maybe I'll see her again at an event someday. So I really enjoyed this, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. I did it on audio, and the audio is really good. And you might do it on audio. Are you thinking you might?
Yeah, I downloaded it.
So I really enjoyed it, and I look forward to reading more of her books in the future. I do think this is a situation, because some people were disenchanted with this book. I think if you go in expecting it to lean into the magical or fantasy elements, you will be disappointed, because it kind of goes in a bit of another direction. So what are we doing in time? 44 minutes.
Yeah.
We have a little time.
Okay. Well, like Greg said, the child wanted to do her own thing, but the parents wanted her to love her, which kind of is a lot what Greg and I went through as foster parents. We loved our son and wanted the best for him, and he kind of kept us at arm's length.
Yeah.
But this week,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
he called us and said, "Hey, do you want to go for dinner?" And we said, "Sure, why not?" So we got to dinner, and he goes, "I've got a lot of things together. I am going to go on a road trip. I may end up somewhere and I stay there." And it's like, that is fantastic. He planned it out. He got his meds ready. And it's like, well, our friend Leon, which he loves, we're going over for Thanksgiving. Do you want to come and have Thanksgiving with us and with my parents? Say your goodbyes and that you're going on a road trip.
Yeah.
And he goes, yes, I would like that. And well, our friend Leon couldn't come over, so he went over to her house with us, and we took Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
She's 78 and having some bad health issues. Yeah. And he got to say goodbye to her, and we had this beautiful night of talking. And he has grown up so much, and he really wanted to be part of our lives. And later that night, we got a text from a friend saying, "You got to look at this." He posted this really beautiful little tribute to us, to Leon, saying we're his family and his rock, and it just really meant a lot to us.
Yeah. Somebody I'm going to try not to cry. Somebody did comment recently, and I've completely fallen behind on comments, and I need to get back on them. But somebody commented saying that they would love a video of us talking about our foster parent experience. I think this is kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard for a lot of the time in the beginning, but it was because the thing specifically with foster kids, most situations are supposed to be temporary. Right. And I think that's one thing people don't understand about foster parenting. We were kind of looking for something that would be a little bit more long-term. So that's what we found with our foster kid. And mostly because the parental rights had been severed in his case. But he had a family, he had a mother who was out there in the world and had been in the system for about 6 years before we met him. So had broken trust with a lot of people and kept us at arm's length for a very long time. And when he moved out of the house when he was 20, I think, he stayed long. Yeah, he stayed with us longer because of the pandemic. Right. So he moved out when he was 20 under bad circumstances, stayed away from us for a long time, and kind of made it very clear that he wanted to be on his own and didn't want contact. So this was really beautiful and wonderful. And he left on his road trip today. Yeah. And he texted us updates about where he was stopping and let us know that where he was for the night. And he said he's going to catch up with us again tomorrow and let us know where he ends up. Yeah. So it's hard. It's hard. And I'm sure not every situation ends like this, but I feel really good about where we are right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's grown up, and he sees he's grown up, and he now knows we were there for him. Yeah. And that's nice to see, because we didn't have that for a couple of years.
Yeah. So. And he was very he even kind of circled back. We'll never get outright compliments, but one thing. So he dated someone in high school, and it was a very toxic relationship. And we kind of tried to point out to him, I don't think you're being treated very well in this. And he didn't say, "I realize now you were right," but he said, "I realize now looking back, I really wasn't being treated well in that relationship." And the other not compliment was, he goes, he used to always wear black and white. Just black. Or red.
Yeah, or red. Just no color. He goes, you guys taught me a lot. I actually have some shirts now that are green and yellow, and I wear a little bit more color because I see you guys wearing them, and they look good on you, and I enjoy wearing them now. Yeah. So, you got to look past all that and see what he's really saying. So it was good.
It was, it's the most compliment.
Yeah.
And it really meant a lot to us to hear. Yeah. Anyway.
A couple of months ago, he also said, I'm much more of an adventurous eater because of you guys. Yeah. I mean, our first year, we could eat nothing but ground chicken.
And ground turkey.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And
that a lot of that is you, not me. A lot of that is you, because you kind of would spend time with him and talk to him about so hamburgers, what is it about hamburgers? Because he wasn't a vegetarian. So it was what is it about hamburgers you don't like? And he would say, well, there's just so much gristle and it's gross. And you'd say, okay, well, shouldn't be like that. It probably means somebody was buying cheap burger meat.
Yeah.
If I get good burger meat, will you try it? And I think the first time he said no, but when we revisited it, he said yes, and he ate it, and he did kind of begrudgingly say, this is good. So that is mostly you.
Then we worked up to chicken breast and some steak and even got into fish. We started doing a whole lot more in the house. So
And he loves to cook now.
he does. He really does.
Yeah.
He enjoyed cooking when he lived here too.
Yeah. So that is our experience with that.
That was our Thanksgiving gift.
That was our Thanksgiving gift. Yeah, and it meant a lot to both of us. To wrap things up, are there any things that you are planning to read before the end of the year? I think you in particular are going to lean into some Christmas magic.
Christmas magic. I am doing the Snow Child.
Yeah.
And just Christmas magic.
And this isn't Christmas, but
No.
like winter vibes. There is like, I think like at least one Christmas dinner in there. But snow is definitely appropriate for the time of year. So I have a bunch of library books, and I really need to work on The Most by Jessica Anthony because this is over a week overdue at this point. I think if we have a moment, this was a busy weekend. If we have a moment where I can really sit down and dedicate time to it, I should be able to rip through it. So I will do that. I had got from the library The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clark. This is like a 60-page book with illustrations, so I should be able to read that really quickly. I got a graphic YA called Ready or Not by, it doesn't say the first name of the person, Andy Peretta. From the library, so I should be able to do that. We got this ARC at that trade show in Portland, I Might Be in Trouble by Daniel Ailman. I have been really thinking of reading it since we got home. It comes out on December 3rd, so we've been thinking about cashing in a credit on Libro and just doing it on audio. I think that would be pretty fun. And then I don't know how much I'm going to get to. It's been a busy year. I got access to the Passing Playbook. I forget who the author is on Libby this week, so I'm probably going to do that as my next audiobook. And if there's time, if I have energy, I might do Martyr or The Mighty Red. Martyr, Kaveh Akbar, one of the biggest books of the year. The Mighty Red by Louise Erdrich, who I always find fascinating. And we are actually going to do a book together.
We are.
What are we going to do?
It is going to be the Deck the Fire Hall. It's a fourth installment in the N.R. Walker with
Heartbridge,
Montana. And fictional place.
Yeah.
And we've done the first three. They're cute little audio cinnamon books.
Adorable cinnamon
So
bun.
we're going to puzz and do a little cinnamon bun.
That's the
magic.
plan. That's the plan.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I might end the year. I don't know how much of that I will actually get around to. And you're going to Christmas it up.
Yeah. So I'm going to do Snow Child if you finished. Your book, I'll probably do it next. But other than that, I'm just going to do some short little novellas of Christmas magic.
Yeah, we actually had a lot of fun sitting down and looking for holiday romance ebooks, because you do ebooks before bed.
Right.
And trying to find ones that would look cute. So, just like you, looking cute.
So I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season.
And if the holidays are a weird time for you, I hope you find peace and joy and are able to keep away from the things that stress or trigger you. No matter, and if you, not just Christmas, but any holiday you celebrate, I hope you enjoy the season however you would like to, whether that involves celebrating or not. So,
And just as the Christmas song says, say hello to folks you know and everyone you meet.
That's one of our favorite
be a
Christmas
good person.
lyrics. Yeah, why not? It's not actually that hard.
No.
So,
We need a little goodness.
right this very minute.
Be the good.
Be the good. I should have worn that shirt today. So anyway, that's what we did in November. Stay tuned. You'll be back to talk about what we did in December.
Yeah.
And then it'll be time to wrap up the year.
Wrap up the
I
year.
can't believe
Top
it.
10 favorites.
Top 10 favorites and almost favorites, nonfiction. I haven't done a lot of nonfiction.
I've done a
this
lot
year.
of nonfiction, and that's going to be a hard category for me this year. So.
Yeah. So stay tuned. There's a lot of that coming as well. And thank you for joining as usual.
Thank you.
Teddy's asleep right over there. He decided he wanted to be asleep there rather than here, but that's okay. That's okay. As always, we really appreciate your time, and we will be back until next time. Happy reading.
Happy baking.